Hey everybody, it's Ron Jackson, and I'm going to be talking to you about the jazz approach to the CAGED system, which I think, in a way, it's a great idea, but if you really want to master the guitar, you don't want to be caged into the same key. Now, I play jazz, so we naturally know our chords kind of like really all over the fingerboard. And whoever plays jazz can actually, attest to that. So we're not limited to the CAGED system. And, it took me a little while to understand what the CAGED system was because I never learned that really. I just knew where all the chords were because of the method book I was using for a long time when I went to Berkeley. And it's this book right here, everybody. The Modern Method for Guitar. Now, he never really taught the CAGED system, the guy who wrote this book, which is like a Bible. Okay? And, but this book is really great for learning all kinds of things about the guitar. And the point I'm trying to make right now, though, is this. Since I'm going live, I want to really talk about why it's important not to only learn the CAGED system, but to actually, what's the word? Let me see if I can go over this way a little bit. Yes. Understand how the guitar fingerboard works with the CAGED system as one of the ways of learning the fingerboard. So, for example, when I first learned about the CAGED system, I thought it was just like a C chord. Let's say that C chord, and then you just, you just played up the neck and you play your bar chords. I just put up a nice short that's pretty popular right now about that. But the CAGED system is really this. You play a C chord, so that's C. Then the next form is A form, which comes from the open string A. Okay. And then the next one, let me turn my phone down because this is impromptu live. Okay, and let me do that for you. And then the next chord is a G chord form, which is like this, which comes from G open. So we're still in the key of C. So you know your chord forms in the key of C. Now the E is this form, which comes from the open string E. And the last one is D, which comes from which is in the key of C is this, which comes from your open string D chord like that. You understand? Okay. So now, the problem with that is you're only in the key of C. And that's an issue. To me, that's a real issue. You don't really learn the fingerboard by just playing the CAGED system, but it'll help you understand it if you could transpose it. That's the whole point. So here's the C. And I know this. When I'm playing a scale, let's say a C major, a lot of people play the scale up to the root, but you should know how to play your scales across the fingerboard like I learned in that William Levitt book over here, which is called A Modern Method for Guitar. And here when I get to the A form of the CAGED system, C, A, which comes from the open string A, remember that. I know the chords and I know the scale there. Then the G form is this one. See that? Which comes from open. So CAGED G. I'm a jazz musician, so I play over chords. We play scales over any kind of chord. So I'm just playing over a major scale. a major scale over the C chord, but which is the G form of the CAGED system, which is this. Comes from the open string G. Now the next one is the E form, which comes from the open string E chord, the C chord, with this form of the CAGED system. So when I'm playing, you should really know. You should really know how to play the scale over the chord that you're actually playing over, the chord form. And the last one is the D form, which comes from open string D of the C chord. So I'm only in the key of C. The problem is, a lot of guitar players who learn this system, if they don't play jazz, they only play in the key of C. So I find that you're actually caged into that key. And you got to be able to play in every key if you play jazz. So I'm going to show you that in a minute. But let me say hi to Tadufi. He says, hi, Ron. Nice. Thank you. Let me show his comment. I appreciate you, Tadufi. And remember, if you're watching now or you're watching later, this is live, please subscribe to Ron Jackson Music. Please follow me everywhere. And also, you can get a free lesson on my Ronnie Music label site if you just look around and find it. There's a couple of free lessons. And there's also a lesson about the CAGED system here. Now, you can get my other cool things like my products and things like that, books. Now, let me keep going. So, for example, now, so let's say we're in the key of C. Here's the CAGED system in the key of C. Now, if you want to play jazz, you have to be able to do this in all keys. So, another key that we play in jazz is F. So here's F. Now, so this F form, which everybody knows this F bar chord, is actually comes from the open string E. The problem is, you have to do this in the key of F now. So you have to find the same kind of chords in the key of F. So look at this. So you can't use the CAGED system there. You can't use those letters. So this comes from the E form here, the D form here, the C form here, the A form here, the G form here, and back to the E form. So you see, I'm playing all these different open string forms, which comes from the CAGED system, but I'm doing them in the key of F. It's important that you learn how to do these forms not only in the key of C. That's the problem. Okay, so I think it cages you up to do it that way, like the CAGED system. So they put you in the cage, basically. You've got to really learn the fingerboard, and the CAGED system is great for connecting your chords in the key of C, but you got to make sure you can do that in any key. You understand? So that's the jazz approach to that, okay? So now we play in all kinds of keys, jazz musicians. So the next key I would play is B flat. So look at this. Now these keys are not open string keys, okay? These are keys that be, and also when we talk about keys in jazz, oh, my friend Jeff's here. Jeff, how are you? Jeff, I always see you everywhere. Thank you for watching. And so look at this. So here's a B flat chord. We're in the key of B flat here. So this B flat major scale is actually B flat, C, D, E flat, F, G, A, B flat. So the thing is, I'm going to be playing that all over the neck, and I'm going to be able to find the chords. That's good to hear, Jeff. That's great. Thanks for watching again. So look at this. So if you're using the CAGED system in jazz, you don't want to be caged into the same key of C. So really, you just have to know your chord forms for what they are by heart. No shortcuts like the CAGED system, where they make you think about all this other stuff. When you get to a different key, you can't do it. So for example, I know this is in the A form. I've been playing this for years. It comes from open string A. So in the key of B flat, it's just one half step or one fret above the key of A. Okay, but now you gotta know your chords in the key of B flat. So the next form is the A form, and then this form, the G form, which comes from open. See how I formed that chord? Now I'm doing it this way, making it sound like a G chord, or look like a G chord, and I make my fingers to get to the B flat, okay? Now look at this, I can also play it like this, or like this, but I'm just trying to show you guys the whole thing. Now, this is from the E form. And also what I'm doing too is, I know how to play the scale over each chord. Watch that. The next form that they say comes from the D. Okay, of the CAGED system, but we're in the key of B flat. And the last one is the C form. So this is the D form, which comes from the open string D. See that form? And then the last one is the C. Is from the C chord from the CAGED system. And the key of B flat is this. So what's happening is, the CAGED system is really great for connecting your chords, but only in the key of C. Now, if you want to play in another key, you've got to know the fingerboard really well. You've got to know your notes in each key, your key signatures, what notes are flatted, what notes are sharp, depending on what key you're in, and be able to play that CAGED system all over the place. So if you're only doing the key of C, you're going to be caged into the key of C. That's the problem. Now, if you think differently, let me know. But I'm pretty sure you'll be saying the same thing, because you'll only be playing the key of C if you're playing the CAGED system. So, for example, we get to the key of A flat. There's 4 flats in the key of A flat. Look at this: A flat, B flat, C, D flat, E flat, F, G, A. Now, you know, I spent many years studying music, and I teach music. And what's happening is, I know about music, and I know my key signatures. So if you want to play guitar and play in different keys and stuff, you really got to know your key signatures and know what notes you're playing when you're actually playing, not just like finding the notes and just jamming. You know, you really need to know your notes. And there's some great trained musicians around that play rock styles. They're really well trained, like Steve Vai or Joe Satriani. A lot of my rock friends who are really well trained. I work a lot with Alex Skolnick, another guy who's great. You know, he knows how to write music out. He knows notation. He knows how to play different keys. You can't limit yourself to those kind of like shortcuts like the CAGED system. The CAGED system is good if you're playing the key of C, but if you want to play in every key, you've got to know that CAGED system in every key, and it changes your chords. But you still can see the chord form. The whole point of the CAGED system is to know your open string chords. That's the whole point. So if I'm in the key of A flat, look at this. I know this chord comes from an E chord. Then I know how to connect it all over the fingerboard. You understand? So here's an A flat, and I also know the scale. So I can play the A flat like this as a G form. It's a half step above. And play the scale too. And then here too, the E form. So I'm only in the key of A flat, and also I'm not playing anything fancy. I'm just playing the scale, the A flat major scale. Since I play jazz all the time, this is the jazz musician approach. I'm making sure that I know my chord scale. So the A flat scale is easy for me, because I play a lot of more fancy scales. Now this form of the CAGED system comes from the D chord. The whole point is, you have to be able to connect the CAGED system chords to any chord, to your chords in any key. But we're only talking about major chords. We haven't even talked about minor, diminished. You got to know how to make these into minor chords. Let's say we do A flat minor. I know it comes from E flat, E minor. Okay, now here's how we play that. Now here's how you play minor chord here. Okay, or here. Or here. Or here. So When you do the CAGED system, the only problem is you're not playing anything else except major. That's another problem. It's a great idea, but if you really want to learn to get the guitar fingerboard, you can't just play in the key of, you can't just play major chords. That's what I'm trying to say as well. So you got to be able to play your minor chords as well. We haven't even covered diminished yet. See that? See, I'm doing diminished now. So if I'm doing CAGED system, it only limits you to the major chords. That's the problem too. Since I play jazz, I have to be able to play over any kind of chord. It has to be a chord like... That's an A major 7, sharp 5. So we play fancy scales. So the point of what I'm trying to make is make sure if you're doing the CAGED system that you actually play the CAGED system chords in every key. And you have to understand the most important thing is that you're actually playing open string chords that are connected in different keys. So you got to know all your basic open string chords. I have some students that don't know those open string chords as well, and when they start playing bar chords, they don't understand where it comes from. You have to learn those first, and then you have to be able to put them into frets. So here's a G chord, okay, and I know how to just make that. I know how to make that to a bar chord. Now let's say I'm playing the key of B now with that G form. Now, just so you know, the CAGED system goes out the window right here because it is the same concept, but you got to know the key of B, the CAGED system. So I'm going to do it like this: that G form here, the E form here, the A form here, the D form here, the C form here of the key of B. Let's go to the key of D now. So you got the open string D, but let's do bar chords. So I know this bar chord comes from the C form. Now, this comes from the A form. This comes from the G form. This comes from the E form. This comes from the D form. So you have to know that everywhere, everybody. So if there's any questions, let me know. Also, please follow me at Ron Jackson Music for cool material here on YouTube and everywhere else the same. And also, if you enjoy this, we accept super chats as well, etc. And you go to my website, ronjacksonmusic.com, and you'll get cool merch and lessons as well that you could, pick up for your family and everybody else, and like my guitar picks and all that kind of stuff. So if there's any questions, please let me know about this. But we're talking about the CAGED system. Now, the CAGED system refers to the C, G, the C form, the A form, C, CAGED, then G, then E, and the D, but how they connect in the same key. So if you're doing a C chord, the next form is an A form, which is A, C, A. The next form is a G form, G, that form of C, and then the E chord, in that form of C, like that as an E chord, and the D chord, CAGED. But don't cage yourself into the same key. That's the problem. Do it in every key like a jazz musician would. Transpose it, go the cycle of fourths. Go from C to F, to B flat, to E flat, to A flat, to D flat, to G flat, to C flat. And then do all the major keys. B, E, A, D, G, C. The sharp keys I meant. B, E, you understand? And then A, D, or you can start from C sharp, F sharp, you see that? And when you're doing these keys, you have to know all your notes. Like, for example, the hardest key is C sharp. It's like C sharp, D sharp, E sharp, F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, B sharp, C sharp. It's the same as a D flat key, the key of D flat. Also, you have to know all your flat keys and know all your flats, and be able to do the CAGED system in that key. So here's the key of D flat. You have the C form here, so that's CAGED, I guess. Then the A form, CAGED form, the G form, CAGED, but the key of D flat. and then the CAGED form here. See that? So that's a C chord, A chord, G chord, E chord, and D chord form in the key of D flat or C sharp. You understand? So that's my jazz musician approach to the CAGED system. And basically, really just know your open string chords and know how to make them to bar chords, and then learn how to connect them in the same key. And then do with your other chords. Just don't do it on a major chord. Do it on a minor chord, diminished, augmented, major 7 sharp 11, diminished major 7. Any kind of chord, you have to be able to play a different way. And if you have any questions, please let me know. Send me a comment or a question. And thanks. You can watch this live stream over and over. That's the jazz approach. The jazz approach to the CAGED system. Just so you know, I think it's very limiting, but it's very important to know the CAGED system too. Just don't limit yourself to that key or major chords. You have to know all your chord forms, all your open string chords, minor, major, diminished, whatever kinds of chords you might know open on your open strings, and know how to make them to bar chords. That's really, really important, everybody. So thanks for watching. And for more great content, just follow me everywhere. And you can take lessons with me as well. Go to my website, ronjacksonmusic.com. And hopefully I'll see you at one of my shows. People always show up now. They're my fans everywhere. And I appreciate you guys. And we'll talk very soon, okay? And my friend Jeff is watching. And also, when you go through the cycle of fours, okay, this is a great question. If you have any questions, don't ask me now before I hang up. So, Cincy Piper, when you go through the cycle of fours, what are you looking for when you go from root to root, next root to the next root? Okay, just so you know, Cincy Piper, I guess you mean you're in Cincinnati, I guess. So, for example, let's say I'm in the key of A flat. Just so you know, you have to get out of the habit of finding the root. You have to know you have to be able to find a note, the key you're in from any note. That takes a long time. It takes a lot of practice. I used to practice a lot of hours, like 8 hours a day. I need to practice more than that now. I'm only practicing 8 minutes a day. So for example, I try to find, basically the chord form. You got to see the chord. So if I'm in the key of A flat, I'm playing this G form, but I see the A flat here, and I see the A flat here, and I see the A flat here. And then if I play that chord form, I see the roots here. Now when I get to this form, this is the E form. Now this is the D form. I see the root here now. You see that? I see the root, but the thing is, you've got to know these chord scales, and you got to remember, you got to see the chord that you're playing over with these chord scales, and you got to see it across the whole neck, which takes a lot of time actually to memorize. It took me years to not be able to play in a key without having to start with the root. You got to be able to see the root everywhere, but not rely on it to know where you're playing the notes, okay? Here, it's the same thing. This is only A flats here. And I know this is a C form. It's a C form chord. This is a C form. Now, the A form's here. Roots are here. The thing is, you got to make sure you know your Cincy, that you got to make sure you know your scales, not to the root. You got to know it across the fingerboard as far as you can reach in the range of the scale, the chord scale. So I'm A flat, but I'm going to the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, etc. And I also know all the notes. A flat, B flat, C, D flat, E flat, G, A. Oh, sorry, I'm messing up. A flat, B flat, C, D flat, E flat, F, G, A flat, etc. And when I'm here, you have to see the roots. the same place. See what I'm doing? So, yes, you have to do that really well. If you go to my website, I have all these scales that you can pick up on my website. There's 8 fingerings that connect across the fingerboard, and it shows you the chords too. It's called the eight fingerings for the C major scale, and it all connects up the fingerboard. And also, I show you the chord. You can pick it up on my website at ronjacksonmusic.com, so you can learn it by yourself. And I think I have a lesson on my YouTube channel about that too. But it helps you if you have the music, because I have the right tabs on there as well, okay? So that's how you do that. If there's any other questions before I hang up, everybody? So that's how you practice this. You got to play in every key. And when you're playing in every key, it's not like you just like move your guitar fret up. You move your guitar, let's say you're playing in the key of A flat, then you go to G flat, and you're just playing notes. You've got to know, let me see this, Cincy. Oh, yep, Cincinnati. I would love to know how you get out of looking for roots. Try some J Member song, go through standards, thirds. There's not looking for a shortcut here. Just so you know, Cincy, you just have to practice until you see them. Really, it just takes time for you not to be able to see the roots. You got to practice a lot to get to that point. Because you know what? When I'm playing, I can't rely on the roots, because sometimes you're not playing on a root of the scale you're playing on. So you just got to be able to play in different keys and get used to knowing where the notes are in your guitar. Like a lot of guitar players that are not trained, they don't know what the notes are. If you stop them and go like this, and they ask me, what note is that? I'm playing the 14th fret. What's the name of that note? I know it's a G flat, because I've trained to know it. Okay, or this a G sharp, or A flat. So these type of things take a while to learn. It's just really, there's no shortcuts in music. I tell people, you got to practice a lot of hours to get this stuff together. There's no real shortcuts. That's the problem. I mean, I try to give you a shortcut, but in the end, you have to practice, man. A lot of hours. Let me see. Let me show this. Okay, there's a lot of mind-body linking here, as I can forget what I'm doing while I'm playing. There's a lot of mind, as if I can forget what I'm doing while I'm playing. Yeah, so what happens is, after a while, everybody, when you get this together, it's just, music's a lot of repetition, just so you guys know. You can practice the same stuff over and over and still not know it. But that's how you really get things together. When I learned, like I used to do a lot of Broadway shows and stuff like that, or chord melody arrangements or whatever. And only way I can get that stuff together is if I practice every day, and you don't think about it. And that's how you actually get good at that, I mean, yeah, so all the great guitar players, like Wes, George Benson, man, I heard he still practices all the time, nonstop. And he's been doing that since he was a kid, Andre Segovia practiced 5 hours a day till he died in his 90s, I mean, Steve Vai, man, all those guys. Joe Satriani, the guys I love, I've been following Steve Vai for years. All these great guitar players, rock, jazz, any style, you have to put the hours in. I know that for a fact. And there's no shortcuts in music, I'm telling you. You can watch all the YouTube videos you want, but if you don't practice, it doesn't mean anything. That's the most important advice I can give you, because there's no shortcuts in music, and you've got to practice, and I need to practice. I still need to practice. I've been playing for all these years. I pick up the guitar. Even if I practice, I still feel like I play like crap. So, I want to help you guys learn how to play this stuff. I want you to understand it easily. I have a lot of students that study with me, and I try to break it down like this to them. It took me a long time to learn how to actually teach how to play this stuff too. So when I teach my students, I have quite a few students now, and I try to simplify everything. But at the end, even if I simplify, you still got to practice. You know what I mean? Because it's not going to be easy. Yeah, there's no shortcuts in anything, actually. If you want to be like a computer coder, salesman, anything, you got to practice it, man. You got to like work hours to get it together. It's just like music. The problem with YouTube and all this stuff is that you have all this stuff and you think you can play guitar after. I have a lot of guys who will like send me a video and like they try to play my stuff back, and they don't know how, they don't know that they sound the way they sound because no one tells them, look, your finger's in the wrong place, you're not pressing that note right, you're not doing this right. They don't have a teacher. They think they're just going to go to YouTube for free and watch me talk about it and then be an expert. Nope. It doesn't work like that. You got to actually practice. You got to get a teacher that helps you. All these guys that are great. I mean, there's exceptions, of course, like Wes Montgomery. But, these guys are like 1 in a million. But they still practice. That's the whole point. They didn't have a teacher, but they had like experience. They got the gig. They're like, they still worked on it somehow. So, but anyway, the CAGED system is like a shortcut, but you can't really play in the key of C the whole time the rest of your life to learn the CAGED system. You got to be able to do this in every key. That's what I was trying to tell you about the CAGED system. That's what this whole point is. You got to do everything, and you got to spend a lot of hours to really know the guitar fingerboard. You've got to know basics like your open string chords. You got to know all of them. E minor, E minor 7. I mean, whatever E chord, E7, any kind of chord. All the E's, all the D's, all the C's that you possibly could play with open strings. The open string thing makes it's a tricky thing to play too. Like we could talk about that for open strings because when you get out of the open strings, it's a whole different world. Like in jazz, we don't play open strings, but I like to play the guitar like a guitar where you have open strings because a lot of jazz musicians, particularly guitar players, try to play like saxophone players. So saxophone players, they don't play in guitar keys. We don't play in E. They don't play in E. They don't play in A. They don't play in D, G. They play like in B flat, A flat, F. All those keys that guitar players are not used to. But you should be able to do both on guitar. You should be able to switch to different keys. Now, if you ask a saxophone player to play in the key of E, they're like, "Oh man, that's really hard." It is hard. I still think it's hard. If you're playing like jazz in the key of E on a guitar, it's hard to play, I think. But because usually when we're playing the key of E on the guitar, it's like you're playing like blues, but if you're playing like jazz in the key of E, I'm playing the key of E right now. That's a weird key to play in for jazz because we're in jazz we play like the key of F or B flat, but when you get to the key of E, it gets really weird. So, but I can still do it because I have like a blues song off my first record. It's the key of A. So that's the key of A blues. When I played that song, and the piano player, who was a great piano player, was like, "Wow, it's key of A, man." He was like, "Wow, that's not normal." So anyway, and so thank you guys. I'll see you guys soon. So work on the CAGED system in all keys, like a jazz musician, and really know your fingerboard. Don't use shortcuts. The CAGED system is really like another way of you connecting your chords that are actually from open strings and putting them in the same key. But you got to be able to do it in more than the key of C. You got to do it in every key and know the fingerboard. Really know the fingerboard. No shortcuts. Remember, in music, there are no shortcuts. Just like anything else. Okay? You can't be a pilot and say, "Hey, man, I'm watching some YouTube videos on being a pilot and to take a plane and fly it." You know what I mean? Pilots go through many hours of training. Otherwise, you kill people. You know what I mean? So it's the same thing with guitar. I mean, I think if you want to, I don't know if you want to hit somebody with your guitar, you don't want to kill people with your guitar. But I'm just saying, if you don't practice with the guitar, you're not gonna learn anything either. So thanks everybody for watching. So if you want to be a pilot, don't use YouTube videos, okay? Like have some guy say, "Man, this is how you fly a plane." Try it now. I just took a couple of videos on YouTube, man, and watch someone fly a plane. I got it. Let's go. So I passed. I'm just kidding. So anyway, have a great day, everybody, and I'll see you soon. So please follow me. If there's any last questions, tell me now, because I'm going to get off now because I have things to do. But that's my last minute video about learning the CAGED system, but everywhere. This is inspiring. Yeah, you know what? Thank you, Cincy Piper. This was inspiring for me too, and very perspiring as well. So we'll see you guys, and I'll see you someplace in cyberspace. Follow me everywhere at Ron Jackson Music. Go to my website, check out my cool t-shirts. I have my Henriksen shirt on. If you go to Henriksen Guitar Amps, I play the guitar festival there every year too. You can get 5% discount using my code Ron Jackson. And I've so many amps like that. The Henriksen amp, they're really small. They call it the jazz amp. So go to henriksenamps.com. Use my code Ron Jackson, save 5%. And I'll see you guys soon, okay? Hey, Jeffrey. Thanks, Jeffrey. My biggest fan. He's on every live stream that I come on, everywhere. Even if I'm in a different country. Okay, guys. I'll see you guys soon. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.